The Porsche 944, regarded as one of the best handling cars of its era. Near perfect front-to-rear weight distribution thanks to the rear-mounted transaxle. Objectively better looking than a 911. So I figure, why not make it handle and look worse? Though I hate the terms safari and build, this video will be about my 1988 Porsche 944 Safari build. Last year, I made a custom receiver for this bike rack and found that the 944 is a pretty good little rig for bike trips as long as you don't have any friends to bring. Around here though, most of the roads to get to good trails are pretty rough. Since the car is due for tires and a suspension refresh anyway, and I can't seem to leave anything stock, it'll be getting a lift in some all-terrains. The lift will come from these coilovers that I got from Sika. These are a pretty low-cost option as coilovers go, and I like the ability to adjust ride height and easily change spring rates. I think most people who lift their 944s use strut spacers in the front and re-index the torsion bars in the rear, but my car needs all new suspension components anyway, so this makes sense to me. Sika recommends installing the rear coilovers after removing the torsion bars, but I think that would be a big compromise in strength, which I'll show you later. I'm going to attempt to leave the torsion bars as they are and just add the coilovers in place of the rear shocks. The rear shocks are held in place by two bolts, one through a mount on the body and one into a blind hole in the aluminum trailing arm. Both of the lower bolts in mine are seized, so they got soaked with penetrating oil for a while. The lower bolt needs to be replaced with a longer one to account for these new aluminum spacers. It's an M14 by 1.5 by 110, which I had to order online. From this perspective, you can see why I think it would be insane to run these without the torsion bars. It's good practice to have high-load fasteners in double shear, and this single shear lower shock mount was clearly never designed to take the full weight of the car. To put that much force into a bolt and bending like that seems like a disaster waiting to happen. By leaving the torsion bars in place, we're not asking that bolt to do more than it was meant to. Once we tighten down the ride height adjustment with my least favorite type of wrench ever, we can move on to the front. The struts are attached to the body with these 4 bolts, which were surprisingly not seized. I'm just loosening them for now so the whole strut doesn't fall out when the lower bolts are removed. The brake line and brake pad wear sensors are also attached to the lower part of the strut body and need to be removed. The strut is attached to the hub with these 2 bolts. The top bolt has a cam in it and is used to adjust camber. You can also see that this strut has probably been leaking for years, which could explain the abysmal ride quality the car has. Now that those top 4 bolts are fully removed, the strut can come out and be thrown straight into the garbage. Installation of the front coilover is a simple reversal of the removal process with a few caveats. First, these have adjustable camber plates instead of the fixed top mounts on the OEM suspension. The lower strut body won't work with the stock camber bolt, so all of our camber adjustment will come from these upper camber plates. I'll just set the hub for max camber and ask the alignment tech not to touch it. The second issue is that the mounting tab for the brake line doesn't line up. I'm not sure what to do about this, but I may make some sort of bolt-on extension or something. There's also no way to attach the brake pad wear sensor wiring, which I think is a good excuse to pull all that stuff out. If you're actively keeping a 35-year-old car on the road, you probably know how to check your brake pads occasionally. That said, when you unplug these sensors, you'll have an annoying light on the dash. I don't want to just pull the bulb to make that problem go away, since it will also alert me if the brake fluid gets low, which is a good feature. To get the system to ignore the missing sensors, I just jump the 2 wires together. It wouldn't be a safari build without some big lights, so while I wait for the tires, I'm going to throw these on. I want to try mounting them under the bumper for a slightly more subtle look, so we'll see how that works out. Since the stock fog lights are terrible, I just use the wiring from them to power the new driving lights. This allows me to use the stock switch and fuses and all that. Since apparently we're making a 944 light upgrade video now, I'll also replace the old stock headlights with these H4 housings and LED bulbs. This is a plug-and-play kit from only944.com, and I highly recommend it if you want to see at night. I've always been hesitant to put LED lights on older cars, because the light temperature never looks quite like the old school halogen bulbs. I have LEDs on the Disco and now the 944 though, and I can easily say that the increase in light output far outweighs whatever I was worried about before. Okay, this is looking a lot better. Not only do the fresh H4 lenses look cleaner, but the light output has improved a bunch too. I should have done that years ago. While I was messing around with the lights, some new tires showed up. My only requirements for tires are a 3-peak snow rating, size, and affordability. The Kumo AT51s come in a 215/75 R15, and they're on sale since they're being replaced by the AT52. I don't have delusions of this car being great off-road with any tire, so I'm sure these will be just fine for ripping fire roads and doing donuts in the snow. I had hoped to end this video with some fire road drifts in the woods, but as soon as I got it off jack stands, we got hit with an ice storm. This isn't really a proper shakedown, but I had to get a few miles on it regardless of the conditions. I'd say first impressions are pretty good. The car had 4 blown shocks and bad upper strut mounts before, so of course it feels better with all the new parts. The ride height might be a bit high, but I love the way it looks, so I'll probably leave it for now and see if it can be properly aligned at this height. And before that can be done, I need to replace the tie rods, which will probably be another video. But yeah, overall I love this thing already. It still needs some mud flaps, a roof rack, and some general maintenance, so you may start seeing more of this car on my channel. Like, share, and subscribe if you're into that. Thanks for watching.